Now taxes is 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you didn't file with us last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just do your own taxes in the app by 2/18.
What if I have lots of forms?
All good, all 100% free.
What if I had 3 jobs?
Still 100% free.
What if I once saw Bigfoot?
That has nothing to do with taxes, so still 100% free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now this is taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live, must start and file in app by 2/18.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sackheads. Sackheads. Radio. Sackheads. Sackheads. Radio.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Good evening, comrade.
Good evening, comrade.
How are you?
Doing very well. How are you?
I am well as well. I would like to address a movement out there that we just can't have
It has come to our attention.
in the Sackhead Nation. It has come to our attention that there were rabble-rousers, if you will,
Purported to be a grassroots movement.
alleged grassroots, to stand up against the machine that is SHR Media.
Clearly, this is a myth perpetuated by the anti-man,
The anti-man.
Ken. Would
Ken
be the
McClinton.
anti-man.
The anti-man. This movement, which will be put down, it will not be allowed. However, this movement, this quote-unquote hashtag Save Sacco that has been started by the exceptional conservative one himself, is one that frankly brings disruption to our nation. It brings
The Sackhead Nation.
the Sackhead Nation. It brings disarray. It brings chaos.
It
in
brings
our-
pain to Sacco.
We're talking, Sacco. This, comrades, is not acceptable. So, from this motion on, this moment, in motion,
In
we're
motion.
filing a Sackhead motion.
We don't have to file a Sackhead motion. This is now totalitarian. Hence the Volga Boatman song playing. Did we not talk about this?
Free Sacco will be considered an act of aggression towards the SHR Media Nation.
Hang
And
on
will
a
not
second.
be
We
tolerated.
have a new movement. that
Comrade
just launched.
Comrade Rooster
Comrade Rooster.
just came out with an excellent idea called hashtag String Sacco Up. And of course, Comrade Rooster is a close friend and ally of the Sackheads Nation. Our Secretary of State, or Minister of State now.
Minister Rooster.
Here.
Not miniature rooster. Minister Rooster.
So, I'm
He
sorry.
may have
I was
a
supposed to be
miniature
serious. I'm
rooster.
supposed to be serious.
I don't know if he has a miniature
Supposed to be
rooster.
serious.
Oh, yeah, but I am.
Serious. Serious, dude. So, comrades in the SHR Media world, friends of ours here on the SHR Media Network, if you are found to be planning, plotting, or otherwise complicit with the Save Sacco movement, you will be dealt with swiftly. You will be dealt with firmly.
You will be audited by the IRS.
Do
Wait,
not.
no, we can't do that, can we?
We're working on
I
that.
thought we were taking Like
No,
plays
no.
from the Obama playbook?
No, this is the fake one we talked about.
Oh, I apologize. Okay.
Yes, Kunta Sacco, as he is known in his otherwise movements, the freedom movement, as some may call it. We call that civil movement, an anti-civil movement. We will deal with you swiftly and firmly and harshly. If we may even go atomic as far as wedgies.
And you may be into that kind of thing.
If this movement does not stop.
I had a movement that wouldn't stop once.
Too much brand, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the 25th of June, 2014. Welcome to the Sackheads Radio Show.
And the best part is, I brought the little cage in for Sacco. and what was great is, you got him that sandwich. He didn't realize what was in it. And we were able to get him in there and close the door.
Two-ply movement, as some are saying. Oh, thank you so much for joining us this evening here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Love poking fun with our good friend Sacco, who makes us sound good here every single week, our producer extraordinaire. If you're listening to us on Live 365, go to shrmedia.com. If you want to jump into the chat roll, it's off to the right. You can click and play with us there. Also check us out on Facebook.
Wait.
No, you're not
Did
going to
you
make
just
it.
say
Click and play.
they could play with us?
Yes, click and play.
Oh, they had to click it.
To play in the chat room.
Oh, I thought it was something good.
We do have so much to talk about this evening.
Name one thing.
We get
Go
20
ahead.
on the board.
No, go ahead. Just one. Name one thing we're going to talk about this evening.
North Korea.
Okay, I'm going to go with IRS.
I'm going to go with... we're going to grab a Miller at 9 o'clock tonight. Jason Miller's going to join us for our news brief at 9 p.m., so stick around for that. Top of the hour, we have a bunch of great news clips. We are going to talk about the IRS. We are going to talk about North Korea, which is just the funniest thing in the world. Yes, when you hear that music, it's Miller time. We're also going to talk about
What?
New leadership in the House.
The new leadership, much like Kim Jong Un, is that not talking about that? In the same mini segment, we're actually gonna talk about the dear leader now in the Republican side, as well as whips.
Whips and chains.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Kim Jong Un leadership and whips.
In that order,
A
actually.
whip, in particular.
How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing okay.
Good.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Why so well?
Well, we had a nice family dinner here at the Sackhead Studio, Studio 1, the silo.
Where was I?
You weren't here yet.
Brought me a sandwich. I was surprised.
Well, you're allowed to get your 2 squares of mail in the cage. So
And that was 2 slices of bread and some water. Sacco.
It's a
that
sandwich.
wasn't a sandwich.
It's a
okay?
sandwich.
From Taco Bell.
People are gonna think we're treating you well. Knock
He
it off.
put a ketchup packet in the middle. It's a sandwich.
This is true. He did.
You're going to get that lycopene. But we do have so much, so let's jump in, and the first one's kind of fun. The first topic tonight actually is enjoyable.
It's enjoyable just because of who it involves.
Yes.
There's a new James Franco, Seth Rogen film coming out, and it's basically about these two, I believe they're talk show hosts, and they get recruited to assassinate the leader of North Korea, Kim Jong-un. And it's supposed to be a comedy, and of course everybody pokes fun of Kim Jong-un because it's Kim Jong-un. He's little Kim, the hungry guy.
Is he the one who showed up at one of the media awards with no top on and just like a
mayonnaise
star on his
running?
nipple?
Yeah, he was something, yeah, this guy. So North Korea takes this seriously.
This is the best part. And I know
North Korea came out and basically said that this movie is, quote, undisguised terrorism, and that if the movie's released, they would consider it an act of war.
You want to talk about the little kid who's trying to seek whatever attention they possibly can?
Like Little Kim?
Like Little Kim?
Right.
So you have Seth Rogen. You know him from such
blockbuster hits as
and homicidal movements or assassination attempts as
Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
Right.
There was the Security Guard movie. He was the Green Hornet. Super bad. He was the Green Hornet.
He was the Green Hornet. That was
Pineapple
violent.
Express. A lot of other those murderous films that he's been in. James Franco, in everyone's defense, was the Green Goblin in Spider-Man. Or he took over for his father, the Green Goblin. So he does have that ability there.
He does have
to
that,
fly
yeah.
an
hoverboard.
An imaginary hoverboard and throw
Basically, it's
pumpkins.
a rocket-propelled hoverboard from Back to the Future series, right?
Oh man, yeah.
An act of war. I want to release that. I think that the United States should
Invite them to the movie release party.
Yes.
Yes,
But no, I was going to say have like just a flight of B-2s fly right over North Korea at the time the movie's released. Just in case.
But we could actually, because I don't really worry about their ability to do much against us as far as so we could
You're
actually
right.
fly.
Let's sail the USS Constitution over there.
Dude, no, I was just saying, almost like planes with the advertisements hanging off the back. Let's do that with a whole bunch of either B-1 bombers or something like that, but have it be the movie poster hanging off the back of it.
Okay. So we take some Cessnas out.
So
and we drop water balloons.
do they really have so little to worry about, or are they getting such little attention that they really need to do this?
I think they worry about it because I wonder if the internet is pervasive over there, and so people see this coming out over there, and they worry about
them realizing it might
just looking like a complete jackass.
Well, did they threaten us when Team America World Police came out?
Probably. Well, I want to hear this quote.
Havro.
The enemies have gone beyond the tolerance limit in their despicable moves to dare hurt the dignity of the supreme leadership.
Just think about how stupid that is.
I know.
We literally have YouTube channels dedicated.
The most undisguised terrorism and a war action to deprive the service personnel and people of the DPRK of their mental mainstay and bring down its social system.
That was our plot that entire time. When they were making that movie, that was their whole plan.
Yeah, they absolutely wanted to bring down, oh my gosh. I say we release it early on DVD over here and like airdrop a bunch of them over that country.
Dude.
Along with DVD players.
Dude.
Do they have DVD players in North Korea?
No, we may have to airdrop those too, but they're like $20 a piece now.
Yeah.
That just tells you how disillusioned and or bat crap crazy the North Koreans are.
I think we should use this as a test, right? If North Korea says this is an act of war and they declare war on us, we pull all our old stuff out of mothballs, right? I know Rooster in the chat room said P-51s. Let's go older than that if we can.
Ooh. Really?
If we can, yeah. Let's pull out, or let's just see if we can do it with. Let's see if we can do it like just with the Broncos, right? The Cessna Broncos. They used to be like the forward air controllers would fly them. In Nam, they like can shoot a couple marking rockets or something. Let's just hodgepodge something together and just see if we can take them out with that. It's kind of like if you were playing Risk with a friend or Battleship, and you said, "Okay, I'm only going to have
Australia.
my aircraft carrier on the board." Like that's it, just my aircraft carrier. I have to find everything of yours, and you just have to find my carrier.
Other suggestions in the chat room of items we could use against North Korea: Civil War cannons. Appropriately, that came from Ken, and RC airplanes from the Underground Professor. What?
Nothing. I thought of something funny. The USS Constitution out
We
of
could pull the
mothballs,
Constitution
something we've
out.
always wanted to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely we
Your
could seriously,
old boat.
My old boat. We could tie M80s to kites. There's just a bunch of things we could do if we really wanted to them. Oh, this is just absolutely ridiculous. So much going on. Oh, gosh. It's the kid who lashes out. Tonight's phone number, as it will be every week, 800-545-5708, 1-800-545-5708. Oh.
The best line, are you ready?
Little Kim. Yeah.
Ready? If the U.S. administration connives at and patronizes the screening of the film, it will invite a strong and merciless countermeasure.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
You know what we need to do? We need to infiltrate North Korea and buy up all the cake so Kim Jong-un can't stuff his face.
Well, Rooster in the chat room said he read from a reliable source in North Korea that Kim Jong-un does never defecate or urinate, so...
Oh, so he's full of like literally.
So he's literally...
Is he literally full of that, or is he full of piss and vinegar? Well, I don't know about the vinegar, but...
I don't think he's full of anything. I don't think he eats as much as everyone lets on. I just think he looks fatter because everyone else is so thin over there. Like, I think he's probably like my size, which, we joke all the time about me being fat, but I'm not grossly obese. I got a pot belly. I think he's
it's my keg.
I'm proud of that.
I
think he's
ball.
like my size, but everyone else is so skinny over there that he just looks like he's morbidly
They're not
obese.
skinny. They're malnourished over there. Nerf rockets.
Nerf rockets. Hey, share if you want to share on Twitter your different ways to take down the North Korean government.
Frozen paintballs.
Frozen paintball is always a good one. You could share it on Twitter, hashtag it SHR. Make sure you link SHR Media Group into it, and we'll share that for you. Oh, man. It's always
That's a
fun.
good story. I read that story, and I thought of all the different things that we could do. I mean, could you imagine if North Korea declared war?
Dude.
First of all, China would be like, "Hey, little Kim,
hey guys,
what are you doing?
I don't understand."
Would we even take it seriously? Would they declare war, and would we just say, "Ha"?
Well, they've
okay.
already declared. I mean, drop Rosie O'Donnell. We
I wouldn't do that to them.
technically we're involved in a war with them.
I wouldn't do that to them.
Think about how much they could eat. Technically, we're still in war with them. So they don't necessarily have to declare it on us. I know they declared it against the South, and we're in the armistice and all that stuff. But we're just in a ceasefire, really. So if they
there's been no formal peace.
Right. So if they are willing to take that step and really try to re-engage, do we need to go to Congress? Because that has been declared.
Yeah, no, I think it's still active.
Standing,
yeah.
right? I don't think there's statutes of limitations.
I want to see an elected official get up and in response to this and say, "Hey, little Kim, hey, fatty, listen,
hey, Chubbs,
yeah, hey." So it's a movie, it's a comedy. That's where you're supposed to laugh. We don't just like behead everybody over here and kill them, or kill our family members. So, fatty, just go ahead and eat some bacon and have some popcorn and a soda and enjoy the movie at your expense. I'm tired of diplomacy and political correctness.
Yeah,
I want Obama at the next summit with Putin just to be like, "Hey, putt, you're a dick," and walk away.
just give
And have all the media cameras there, and I would actually give this president kudos for that.
Wet Willie, something on his way out, just kind of just
Slap him on his ass and say, "Hey, you're so cute when you're angry." Just something kind of a little demeaning.
Wow, your cheeks really light up when you're pissed off, huh?
Right. What do you think? Think about it.
All right, Poots, we'll see you later there, Princess. Gives him a little kiss on the back of the head and leaves.
Yeah. He would have a newfound respect. It would piss him off.
Right.
But he would have a newfound respect. He'd be like, he punked me out.
That's why it will never, ever, ever happen.
No, because our leadership, our ruling class here, they're too good for that. They're good. They conduct themselves. They're proper statesmen and stateswomen, and they conduct themselves above reproach at all times. They don't very transparent. They don't lose things like emails or servers.
Mm-hmm. Really?
So why not, right?
Really? Again, we talked about this. We talked about the technology aspect last week. We can get our emails from 3 years ago. So let's not go down that road.
Yeah, don't go down that. I'm just saying your credibility is already hosed. You might as well go big.
Go big or go home. Speaking of going big and go home, last week the House elected new leadership with the exception of Boehner. And everyone really talked about McCarthy being the majority whip.
Mm-hmm. And he's more moderate. No, McCarthy was the majority leader.
Majority leader, I apologize. And
he was the whip.
He was the whip, that's right.
He was the whipping boy.
And
he's into whips.
No big.
I think. I don't know. Like the title.
Don't judge him. Don't judge him.
It's unconfirmed report. We're trying to figure it out. It's unconfirmed at this point.
Rooster in the chat room thinks we should settle our differences with North Korea by a pie eating contest between Michelle Obama and Kim Jong-un. I just got that image.
I want to send Joe Biden over there. I want to send Joe Biden over there, and I want to have a Dare Joe Biden. We haven't had a Dare Joe Biden segment in a while. I think we need a Dare Joe Biden segment for how his interaction with Little Kim should go, or either interaction via like slap on the ass or whatever it is.
What would you dare Joe Biden to do in a meeting with Lil Kim?
Right, or say. So either do or say or a combination thereof. It's still a dare. What would you dare Joe Biden to do?
Oh, that's a good dare Joe Biden hashtag to start. What would you dare Joe Biden to do when he meets with North Korea's UN? Numero uno. So anyhow, back to
we need a new Socko, make that happen. Hang on, let me unlock the cage. Put the bread down. Put the bread down. Back.
He could just reach out through the
Yamule.
He could just reach out through the bars.
I put his laptop just out of reach because it's psychological warfare.
I heard this right. So when he lands, he's going to play Uno?
Yes, Uno.
Gotcha.
So back to McCarthy, though. So everyone talked about McCarthy being the majority leader is the story. But they didn't talk about a lot in mainstream media is who the whip became. And we talked about it. We kind of thought it was a bigger story than the majority leader. Everyone knew he was going to be elected majority leader.
Yeah, and with that, it's interesting because Eric Cantor was fairly conservative.
Yes, he was fairly conservative.
And Kevin McCarthy is not as conservative.
Not at all.
He's more, some folks say middle of the road. He's very middle of the road. But he has the respect of a lot of the membership. He's been around. He knows how to get things done. But
which isn't always a great thing.
No, Eric Cantor though was kind of the more conservative voice in that. But there was the new whip is surprising. He's actually very, very conservative. Tea Party guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was the bigger story also. There were three people in kind of in contention for the whip spot. Like you said, everybody kind of knew Kevin McCarthy would get it. But Mr. Scalise is the Republican whip in the House. Steve Scalise, he's out of Louisiana. He's a member. And he's a Tea Party guy.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
No, he's a big Tea Party guy.
Even more conservative than Eric Cantor. So I thought it was interesting, and when we talked about this, we actually spoke about it, that so you have a more middle-of-the-road guy. It's natural that the whip would step up into the leader, into the role that Cantor had. But now you have a Tea Party guy stepping up into a leadership role as the whip. So his next line, obviously, would be majority leader.
Yes.
If he's able to continue that support. The downside is, and this is what's interesting as well, is there are only 12 days after Eric Cantor steps down, which will be end of July. There will be only 12 days after vacations and whatnot before the next term, when they'll have to redo the elections and so forth. But just the fact that you have a Tea Party guy in there and kind of a true Tea Party representative as a voice in the Republican leadership, particularly the whip job, which is important. I mean, what it's going to be interesting to see what he does if Boehner and McCarthy, two moderates at best,
Start fighting back against him.
Yeah, or want him to get votes together for something that he doesn't believe in.
Immigration.
That he doesn't believe in. What's he going to do? I mean, they may be able to get the votes, but the whip has a very specific job.
What if he's going to whip them?
They might be into that kind of thing.
What?
What if he whips Kim Jong-un?
That would be only.
Do you think Kim Jong-un's into S&M?
The band?
No, like the leather and zippers
Oh, I would say so.
and spikes.
I would say so. I think a lot of times with those third world leaders who have a severe power issue, I think we find out years later that they're pretty freaky. Like somebody writes a tell-all book that they walk in with an emu, a whip, and a bottle of Crisco,
Right.
and that's just to dinner.
Right.
That's not anything after the fact. So it'll be interesting to see. But I would say, yeah, sure. Why
He
not?
never wears like shorts and a tank top.
No.
He's always completely covered up.
Which is a bad sign.
So yeah, maybe he's into some stuff where he gets some prostitutes and they beat the crap out of him while he has his gag ball in his mouth and a leather mask with a zipper over the front.
I've also expressed in the past that I think he might secretly be a man, and that Kim Jong-il couldn't have any actual males as much as he has people that he said were his kids that were males.
So you're saying maybe Kim Jong-un is a female?
Right. That's why you never see him on
You
cover.
just called him a bitch.
Yeah. Why?
Basically.
And?
I'm just making an observation. I'm not saying I disagree.
Oh, man. But no, seriously, is it not possible that Kim Jong-un's a female and that Representative Steve Scalise, he could make Boehner's life difficult? And just because this is...
Hang on.
What?
I dare Joe Biden to grab little Kim's crotch and confirm
Just do a test.
whether it's a boy or a male or
Much
female.
like Crocodile Dundee.
Right.
We was testing to see if the guy was a Sheila, as they
Yes.
called him down south.
Yes.
Well, that's down under, not down south. I think he should do that. Hey, how you doing there, Kim? I just got to check one thing. Oh, nope, nothing there. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, nothing there. Hey, so what are you doing later, Toots?
Hey, guys, it's like a Barbie doll. Let's go
Hey.
home.
Hey, I told you this broad was in charge.
That's why your first name's Kim, huh?
There's a song something like that a while back. Boy Named Sue. Ever hear of it? No, you don't like good music, do you, Kim? Yeah, same kind of thing, but you look like a pussy.
Cat. Sorry, Cat. So, we can't get off Kim.
Yeah, maybe nobody else can either, which is why he's so uptight.
But I think it will be a challenge for Boehner because, like you said, he is a more conservative Tea Partier. He definitely is not ashamed of who he is. And you judge by his voting record, and he seems to stick to his values fairly well. And I think that's going to be interesting as time goes on. And it's one of the highest elected officials internally as well. I mean, within the party, to be a Tea Partier or not a mainstream conservative, if you will, or
Not a regular Republican, right?
Not a progressive conservative,
not a party guy,
right? This
so
is
to
a
speak.
fairly high position for the Tea Party. So I think with the Brat win a couple weeks ago, and then this, I think it's really starting to show how much grip true conservatives are starting to get in the party. And I bet you that's one of the reasons why Boehner filed that lawsuit today.
Don't be showbiz, and we'll get to that later.
I was just teasing. It's called a teaser in this business.
You know what else is a teaser? Socko's mom. So we have...
Yeah,
we're
where's
up
our
against,
barbecue, dude?
We're up against a break right now.
No, we're not.
Socko's giving us the high sign. Don't you hear the music playing?
News.
He's not playing news. Look at the official atomic clock we have up there. It's 8:30.
It is time for a break.
We're up against a break.
Is that your way of getting our attention now? Is you just randomly play music till we look at you? Oh man. Could you just throw something at us like a normal person? Come on, man. Are we ready to go to break, Socko?
Hey, if you care about what's going on in the world, you cannot afford to miss my show. Hi, this is Andrea Kaye, your host of The Andrea Kaye Show. It's not always about the money. Okay, it is always about the money, but it's also about politics, pop culture, and you. The only thing street about this show is the smarts. There's a reason they call me Dynamite in a Dress. And you'll find out why when you listen Tuesday mornings at 10 on Financial News and Talk.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
Hey folks, it's Sean from Sackheads Radio. As a native Bostonian, my heart broke on April 15, 2013, watching those horrendous attacks at the Boston Marathon. Now there's a way that you can help. Go to onefundboston.org, ONEFUNDBOSTON.org, where you can donate to help the victims and families from this awful attack. Onefundboston.org, all the proceeds will go directly to the victim's family. Thank you very much from Sackheads Radio.
Now back to Clint and Sean on Sackheads Radio, radiating elegancy and...
Well, we'll help you with it, okay? Spoliation of evidence is when a party fails to preserve evidence. There's a negative inference that the jury can draw from their failure to preserve the evidence. You with me? If you destroy documents, the jury can infer that those documents weren't going to be good for you. If you fail to keep documents, the jury can infer that those documents were not going to be good for you. You've heard the phrase spoliation of evidence, haven't you?
I can't recall ever hearing it.
It's true in administrative hearings, civil hearings, criminal hearings.
I practiced law once 45 years ago, gave it up for Lent 1 year, never went back.
All right. Well, let me tell you what you would have found if you had stuck with it. When a party has a duty to preserve evidence or records and they fail to do so, there is a negative inference that is drawn from their failure to preserve the evidence. It's common sense, right? If you destroyed something, the jury has a right to infer that whatever you destroyed would not have been good for you, or else every litigant would destroy whatever evidence was detrimental to them. Agreed?
I'm not sure. I think if you destroy the evidence and people could prove it, it wouldn't be a good thing for your defense.
Well, no, it's worse than that. The jury can draw, and they're instructed, they can draw a negative inference.
All right.
And that's true if a taxpayer is being sued by the IRS administratively, civilly, or prosecuted criminally, and they fail to keep documents, the jury can draw a negative inference from the fact that they didn't keep receipts or emails or documents. So if it's true and applies to a taxpayer, it ought to apply to the IRS as well. Agreed?
Is this a trial? Is this a jury? Is that what you're...
I said administrative, civil, or criminal. If you want to go down that road, I'm happy to go down it with you, Commissioner. In fact, I'm glad you mentioned it. You have already said multiple times today that there was no evidence that you found of any criminal wrongdoing. I want you to tell me what criminal statutes you've evaluated.
I have not looked at any.
Well, then how can you possibly tell our fellow citizens that there's no criminal wrongdoing if you don't even know what statutes to look at?
Because I've seen no evidence that anyone consciously...
Well, how would you know what elements of the crime existed? You don't even know what statutes are at play. I'm going to ask you again. What statutes have you evaluated?
I think you can rely on common sense that nothing I have seen...
Common sense. Instead of the criminal code, you want to rely on common sense. No, Mr. You can shake your head all you want to, Commissioner. You have said today that there's no evidence of criminal wrongdoing. And I'm asking you what criminal statutes you have reviewed to reach that conclusion.
I've reviewed no criminal statute.
All right, so you don't have any idea whether there's any criminal conduct or not because you don't know the elements of the offense.
I've seen no evidence of wrongdoing.
Oh, well, that's very different from no evidence of criminal misconduct, Commissioner.
Well, it seems to me if you haven't done wrongdoing, it'd be pretty hard to argue that you've had some criminal violation if you didn't.
Well, what did Lois Lerner mean when she said perhaps the FEC will save the day?
I have no idea.
What did she say? What did she mean when she said we need a project, but we need to be careful that it doesn't appear to be per se political? You don't think that's a potential violation of 18242?
I have no idea if it...
Because you haven't looked at 18242, and you don't have any idea, Commissioner. You don't have any idea whether there's any criminal wrongdoing or not.
With regard to the production of the evidence, the production of Lois Lerner emails, I have seen no evidence of wrongdoing. What else went on?
Well, if there were, that would be a separate criminal offense.
What else went on with Lois Lerner, I said in the past.
So what you're saying is you don't have any idea whether she engaged in criminal wrongdoing. You're just saying that you did not engage in any with respect to the email.
I haven't seen any wrongdoing with regard to the production of Lois Lerner emails.
But you are not saying there was no criminal wrongdoing with respect to the targeting of conservative groups. I want to be very clear. You're not saying that.
I've made no judgments.
So you disagree with the president when he says there's not a smidgen of corruption.
There are people who have been making judgments both sides about whether there were...
And you know what? I'm not one of those. I'm just simply saying we will never know because you didn't keep the evidence. The evidence was spoliated. And whether it's negligent, whether it's intentional, whether it's reckless, we still don't have the evidence, Commissioner.
Well, you have the evidence that there is no emails from the White House. You have all of the Treasury emails. So the basic premise that this was an argument in a conspiracy driven by the White House does not...
No, sir, you're wrong about that. You're wrong about that. That you're repeating a talking point from our colleagues on the other side that we're obsessed with the White House. It was Jay Carney who perpetuated the myth that it was two rogue agents in Ohio. It wasn't any of us. Was that accurate? Was that first initial line of defense that this is just two rogue agents in Ohio? Was that accurate, Commissioner?
Not that I know of.
All right, so that wasn't accurate, and that came from the White House. Who said there's not a smidgen of corruption? Who said that, Commissioner?
My understanding is that was the president.
It was the president. So that's Jay Carney and the president both inserting themselves into the IRS scandal. And you want to blame us for bringing the White House into it?
I haven't blamed you at all.
You just did, Commissioner. You just did.
Well, it's a good argument. All I said was the White House has revealed there were no Lois Lerner emails. Treasury has given you all of their emails. So to the extent that the argument was that Lois Lerner was conspiring and emailing back and forth, thus far I haven't seen any.
Well, you can be engaged in a conspiracy that doesn't include the White House.
Gentlemen. Good. Time's up. Right.
So, first of all, I love Trey Gowdy. And I know there are people out there, Rooster said in the chat, who says, Rooster just said something effective. After all this is said and done, nothing's really going to happen. And maybe so. But this kind of puts Democrats on blast. And we may never actually get to the absolute truth, only because of the stonewalling, the lost emails, the outright criminal activity, in my opinion, what's going on with the IRS. This Koskinen guy, he's just a shill for the White House.
So he actually is a big donor, I believe.
He is.
He's a big
Wait, you
donor.
mean money?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I didn't say Boehner.
Oh.
No, donor with a D.
I just didn't know what he was donating.
Nothing to society.
I can tell you what he's taken away.
Nothing to society. He donates nothing to society. He is. Listen, you want to get rid of greenhouse gases? That's one way to do it. Listen, let's ship him off to North Korea.
Yeah, there's a lot of carbon dioxide that would be dropped right there. I'm just saying.
Look,
he's a waste of carbon.
He's increasing our carbon footprint,
Mm-hmm.
and with all his hot air that he spews, and methane that comes out of his mouth. So he has an agenda, I think.
I would 100%
But in
agree.
addition to him being a donor, which makes his ability to be, I don't want to say that in and of itself makes his ability to be honest or we should question his credibility
in any way, shape, or form.
Well, I'm not trying to say we should question his credibility based upon being a donor. Being a donor in and of itself does not. But he's a huge donor to the party, and that coupled with how he's conducted himself, he's just such a condescending,
weasel,
pompous,
no good
ass.
Right.
And that's confirmed. That's a confirmed report, right? I think we confirmed.
I believe
that report.
so.
Yeah,
I believe so. That can be confirmed. And listen,
he's one of those people. The people with the faces that you just want to, you just want to punch,
Well,
right? I mean, for lack of it's just you look at them, and he's just such a condescending ass clown.
Mm-hmm.
Coupled with the fact that he's this big donor, and he's just so indignant, and he's just so stonewalling. It's frustrating.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous.
To say the least. Like he needs to get his ass kicked. I'm not advocating that.
No, it's just what he needs.
It's just what he needs.
Right. No,
right?
I agree with you.
He needs. Could you imagine if Congress could give spankings?
Mm-hmm.
Joe would be in line.
He'd be the first one running through.
Yeah,
this
Biden would be like,
downtown.
hey, it's time for my spanking, boys. Hand me that. Here, hold my scotch real quick. Who's next? Hey, Toots, you. Yeah, Pelosi. Yeah, get over here. Here, slap this ass. I know it's wrinkled and saggy. Just slap it a couple
pistol
times.
grip, give it a whirl.
Right there. You like that?
But
let
here's a
me
guy-
flex it for you. Hang on, you can't tell because of the wrinkles.
Koskinen, since 1968, has been in government in one way, shape, or form. He's never really held a private sector job. He was the head of Freddie and Fannie Freddie, I think, for a little bit, but that's semi-government. It's semi-private. It's one of those weird things. He was the principal financial officer and ended up being like the executive something or other. But he's been in government his whole life, and he's been a Democrat his whole life, and he's worked for Democrats his whole life. And he is a big party guy, and he's
given out almost $100,000 to Democratic candidates.
Yeah, $100,000
and groups.
$100,000. So he's a 1%er, unless he donates all of his money. But no, listen, he's a lifelong bureaucrat. And all he's doing is taking a party side. There's no real interest in him to finding the actual truth. It's not like he's upset.
Look, he donated $2,300 to Obama in his 2008 campaign, and $5,000 in 2012.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's constantly making donations to the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee. Got $3,000 from him.
No, that's all he does. And Rooster brings up a good point in chat here on shrmedia.com. Let's not forget that he's there in his current position because he wasn't there when everything happened. He's a replacement. Right. And he's a replacement because they needed somebody to stonewall. They needed someone to put in that they could trust. They needed a boy from their team to go in and play. And it wasn't like he's some independent guy who just came.
No,
in
he's
and
not at all. He
he
gives money for Democrats for over 40 years. The Washington Free Beacon ran a story on him. It's a great story. You can find it on their website, Washington Free Beacon, from June 23rd. And they outline all of the contributions, or a portion of the contributions he's made, including $1,000 to a candidate in Colorado from the Colorado Senate, dating back to 1979, and then all the way up to Senator Mark Warner's campaign that he contributed back in February of 2013, $2,500. Hillary Clinton, $3,800. In donations for her different political campaigns from him. So, I mean, this guy he is hostile towards Republicans.
Right.
He has an agenda that he's pushing. And so even though in his position he's supposed to be impartial and whatnot, he's
Completely
clearly not. No, of
He's
course
supposed
not.
to be nonpartisan.
And of course he's going to defend this administration and everything at all costs. I'm ashamed at how some of the Democrats have conducted themselves at this hearing also.
Yeah, absolutely
Again,
ashamed.
We've talked about this before. Listen, this is an American issue. If this IRS can get away with doing this, if there's a lowest learner there on the liberal side that can get away with targeting conservative groups, what is going to stop a conservative member of the IRS going after liberal groups down the road,
or any group for that matter,
or
It
any
shouldn't
group?
matter
I'm just flipping the tables on these.
No,
knuckleheads,
absolutely.
Okay, so what?
Essentially, any person
they would be
in power can go after those who are not in power, and focus against those who may be trying to take the power away.
It does. Well, I'm trying to put this into terms so that the liberals can get it.
Oh, you need smaller words,
right? How would you people, and by you people I mean liberals, how would you people respond if a Bush appointee was specifically targeting liberal groups, and then they lost all the emails and continued to lie about it, and then they
Iraq.
What?
I'm just going to talk about everything that they would talk about other than this.
Yeah, right. Iraq.
9/11.
Right.
Hurricane Katrina.
Right.
TARP.
Right. Yeah, we don't agree with everything President Bush did either.
Right.
But he didn't cause Hurricane Katrina. So, that being said, that's why this is important. And that's why I believe you have to hold them accountable. I mean, you have to get to the truth. So the fact that they want to stonewall, and they're stonewalling for political reasons. They're not stonewalling for truth,
right,
or because they want to get to the bottom, or even because they really believe there's nothing there. Look, there are liberal pundits out there who are saying, yeah, this could be a problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is a start.
Like Bob Beckel, right? I disagree with what he says. Bob Beckel, he's on the 5 on Fox News, but he's actually
huge Democrat, worked for Clinton.
Yeah, he's ran the Carters, I believe, a Carter campaign. But he's actually even has a reasonable view. Now, he doesn't believe it's tied to the White House.
Right, he thinks it stops short of the White House.
Right, and maybe it does. That's fine. But
I disagree.
I think it goes there. I think it goes to the White House. But right now, there's no proof per se that I know about. So, hey, he thinks it stops short. That's fine. I can agree. But at least he understands that there's a problem, right?
Yeah, he will admit that something's awry, something's slightly crazy. And listen, if you look at the totality of what's gone on so far with this IRS investigation, just to this point, and if you take it, you brought up a good point of trying to switch the tables. Let's remove IRS and let's put in a different federal agency that was targeting groups. Let's say it was the FBI. Let's say it was the FBI targeting conservatives.
Right.
And all of a sudden, all these the FBI targeting liberals, or the FBI targeting illegal immigrants, or any other thing. And we turn around and said, oh, well, we've lost all their emails. So we can't find it. And that server, it goes back to this tape where it kind of lumps together for everything for 5 years, but there's no way to it'd be really labor intensive and expensive to go through all of that. First of all, that comment alone, I wanted to punch the screen, and I'll tell you why. For you to turn around and say that they were voters and free citizens in our nation that were being targeted by a government agency for political gain, to say going through all that taped data is too time and financially involved and expensive to find out the truth about an act that goes against our very Constitution, our very way of life. If you want to suggest that time would not be well spent and that money would not be well spent to find out the truth about what happened in the situation, you need a smack in the head. Or you need to stop with the facade.
Or read a book.
Because this action, if true, which many of us believe it is, this action, if true, is one of the biggest political stories as far as government gone awry that I can remember. And we could talk about Benghazi and cover-ups and lies and stuff like that, but this, a government agency being used to specifically target a group of individuals, American citizens, for political gain, I think this is going to be one of these stories that will be around forever, and this will be one of the biggest assaults on our Constitution committed by our own government.
Maybe. I think maybe it'll be around. It should be around. It should be around for a long time, right? Nixon lost 18 minutes of tape and used the IRS to target political enemies.
Yes.
They
talk about that all the time.
They talk about that, and rightfully so. It
was a wrong
rightfully
thing to
so.
do. Yes.
Absolutely. But now that this is happening, and they lost 18 months or almost 2 years of data. Nixon lost 18 minutes. And you have major targeting. And we're not talking about just conservative groups. There's information out now that Lois Lerner was potentially going to target a U.S. senator.
What?
Right?
and
so she accidentally gets an email.
Mm-hmm.
And how she accidentally gets this email, I have no idea. But basically from some group offering to pay for this senator's wife's ticket to some event, right? And she gets it and forwards it on to somebody else saying, "Hey, do we need to target this or investigate this because it was a Republican senator?" So the senator was Charles Grassley out of Iowa, and there was an event. And I believe the event was in 2012 sometime in December or whatnot. And the event organizer for this event offers to pay for Grassley's wife to attend this event. Well, Lerner gets this and sends an email basically saying, hey, maybe we should refer this to exam for an audit. And the response back, somebody came back and said, hey, you know what, just because somebody offers to pay for a ticket, and I'm paraphrasing here, obviously, it doesn't mean that it's inappropriate or it's not, on its face, it's not illegal or inappropriate. And so nothing was done. But she's already, right away, boom, she wants to push for the audit on the conservative person. And this is a sitting United States senator.
Right. Well, and that's going after, and you know, somebody said, oh, Grassley got free tickets to an event. Say it ain't so. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's an elected official who, for no reason other than she felt that something was slightly wrong, that she felt, now,
or she thought maybe she could get a technical violation.
Right.
Right, even though, it's probably not wrong or it's not a big
donation
deal.
Or
right, it's not a big, technically I could probably get him on this, so let's go after him.
Right.
Right?
Right. It would be that one thing they needed.
It's like that cop. And you all we know that cop, right? Where it's 65 miles per hour.
66.
And
boom.
Right. Or you're driving like 63 or 68 and they pull you over, right? Or that you didn't use your turn signal. There's nobody else on the freaking road.
Well, let's put it something a little more realistic.
Okay.
It's like the white cop who follows the black guy for about 15 or 20 minutes waiting for him to not use a signal.
Why's it got to be a black guy?
Because.
Why can't, it's like the black cop
following the white guy
waiting for him not to use his turn signal.
I was trying. Our good friends on the left needed to understand, so I went with something that they know: false racial profiling. They accuse everybody of.
Oh, got it.
So that's really where I was going with that. But it doesn't matter. So a pink cop is following a blue guy, for 20 minutes. But
so a female cop is following a married guy.
Right, exactly. So even though everything is on the up and up on the forefront, he's digging and digging and digging to find that one thing, and then pulls him over and goes and does whatever he has to do. But this is the same thing. It's a prejudice. And if it's a prejudice for political reasons or a prejudice for other reasons, it's still a prejudice. And we've known that she targets people's based on politics. It's at this point we can argue that that's a fact,
right?
So, it bolsters the argument of the wrongdoing, and it actually bolsters the argument on why these emails being quote unquote lost are such a big deal. And so for those on the left, they're like, "Oh, leave this alone." And you have Elijah Cummings saying all these subpoenas have still produced nothing, and it hasn't gone to the White House. The assumption is, and I think this is where a lot of the people on the left try to make people think, and Trey Gowdy said it, you guys keep bringing the White House into this. We haven't. We just want to know what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
We're going after what's right and wrong. You infer the White House. And if you're inferring the White House without being prompted,
mm-hmm.
To me that raises suspicion. Why? Why are you protecting somebody that hasn't been accused of anything, but all of a sudden everyone's jumping in front? Oh, he didn't take that. Or he didn't steal. Or they didn't do anything wrong. Nobody said they're doing anything wrong. We want to know what happened in this particular government agency that targeted conservatives. Now, if it happens to lead to the White House, we will cross that bridge when we come to it.
Right.
However, we don't know where the bridge is yet. We don't know where the river is. We don't know where the road leads. We just know the road is pretty damn screwed up at some point, and we got to figure out who let that road break down, who let the wheels fall off the bus, who guided it in such a horrible direction.
And we talk. You're right. We've talked about that because I think Trey Gowdy is after the truth, which is what we want. I'm shocked at the. I'm not shocked. I should be, but I'm not. I'm very disappointed in the Democrats that aren't. That just say, "Oh, this is just a political shill." I am so sorry you have to sit here. A man in your position should not have to go through this abuse and blah 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 and go on. As opposed to, hey, so maybe you decide not to act as hostile, or you decide not to act in a certain way as other representatives. That's fine. I'm fine with that. But ask a question.
Right.
Investigate. Right. Do your job.
Prove you're right.
Right. Do your job. Hey, I understand that you're saying this. However, walk me through the process of how it's possible that these emails got lost. Yes, I understand that you didn't back up from this couple, whatever. Walk me through that. You can
back me through how it wasn't targeting. Prove to me why it wasn't targeting of conservatives. And that it was just a lot of people are still saying, it wasn't really targeting and it wasn't directed targeting. Okay, fine. If she was acting alone, as many have tried to argue that it was her and a couple other people that were acting on behalf or on their own volition, then show that. Show that Lois Lerner individually is the guilty party and that nobody else above or below her was involved. That's fine. If all the evidence comes out and that's the truth, I am okay with that. She needs to be prosecuted. And I will be fine with that. But prove it. Don't just be like the defense attorney who sits there and goes, hey, you know what? My client did nothing wrong. Do you have any evidence to support that? Because we're presenting a bunch of evidence right now that's leading everybody to look at your client that way. No, but I'm just telling you, this is all a show. The prosecution's a show. And my client's done nothing wrong. I rest my case. You can't do that. You have to provide a defense, especially when the evidence is mounting against you.
It is. The burden of proof is on the House, right? The burden of proof is on the people, not the person defending.
But they're presenting their evidence, and their evidence is
How about just answer the questions?
Well, that's the problem.
Right? Honestly.
Ask the questions. Ask the questions and answer the questions. If you're one of the members sitting on that committee, you ask the damn question, And if you're sitting there answering the questions, you answer it honestly. And you know what? If I was this guy, the IRS commissioner, I'd be the first one. I wouldn't care about the president. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I don't care who appointed me. I'm not going to sit here and lie because that goes against every moral fiber in my body. Yeah, you know what? Somebody screwed up, and here's everything I could truly do to help you.
Or
I wasn't involved. I got hired after the fact, but I want to help you get to the truth.
You know what? I'm not going to lie because morally it's the right thing to do in terms of me doing my job and being accountable to the American people and to upholding my oath. But that's not going to happen in this case, I don't believe. When we come back, we have more. We're going to actually talk about O'Connor's testimony.
We are going to talk about O'Connor's testimony. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Miller time. It's time for the news here on the SHR Media Network. Take it away, Jason.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Good evening from the SHR Newsroom. I'm Jason Miller. A senior Thai general has told the BBC that last month's military coup had not been planned in advance. It comes after an opposition leader claimed that the army had been discussing overthrowing the government for years. Lieutenant Chard Kham also said those detained by the military says those in the coup were being treated well. The military seized power in the Southeast Asian nation on May the 22nd, saying it wanted to return stability to Thailand after months of political and social unrest. It has promised to return to democracy, but only after it had carried out sweeping reforms of the political system. Poland's coalition government has won a parliamentary vote of confidence sparked by a scandal over leaked tapes of senior officials. Prime Minister Donald Tusk has told the parliament that without a pledge of majority support, he would not be able to effectively represent Poland in the European Union. The apparent secret recordings have been released by the What Prost magazine. In one recording, Foreign Minister Władysław Surowski alleged that the Poland's alliance with the United States is worthless. In another recording, the central bank head Marki Belka and Interior Minister Bartholomew Szewczuk are apparently heard discussing how the bank could help the governing party win re-election in 2015. Any such action would be in violation of the bank's independence. Moving on to the UK, David Cameron's bid to block Jean-Claude Juncker becoming the next European Commission president looks set to fail after his allies changed tack. German Chancellor Angela Merkel had given the British Prime Minister the next European Commission president looks set to fail after his allies changed. But the British Prime Minister had gained hope from the Chancellor after agreeing to vote on the issue if there was no consensus. But both the Netherlands and Sweden now say they will be back in Luxembourg's ex-prime minister. Mr. Cameron says Mr. Juncker's nomination ignores the pro-referendum message sent by the European voters last month. The EU summit starts on Thursday after leaders first commemorate the 100-year anniversary of the end of the First World War in Ypres. That ceremony will be followed by a working dinner on the EU's long-term policy agenda in Brussels before EU leaders make a decision on the Commission presidency on Friday. And moving to the news here in the U.S., in a long, sordid war between the Republican Party establishment and Tea Party factions working to unseat those they see ideologically wayward, nothing has infuriated conservative activists quite like what happened Tuesday in Mississippi. Following a 3-week runoff campaign between 36-year Republican Senator Thad Cochran and Tea Party-backed candidate Chris McDaniel, the incumbent defeated his challenger by about 6,400 votes, a bigger margin than in the first primary vote on June the 3rd. The large turnout in the second round came in part thanks to an aggressive get-out-the-vote effort in which Cochran courted Democrat-leaning voters, particularly in regions of the state with a majority of black voters. It's not illegal in Mississippi for Democrats to vote in a Republican runoff election. The state operates under an open primary system, meaning the registered voters can cast their ballots in any primary, regardless of any party affiliation, as long as they haven't voted in a previous primary. A former U.S. Internal Revenue Service official in the center of controversy over the tax agency's treatment of Tea Party groups sent emails in which she appears to seek an audit involving a Republican senator, according to documents released today by the House Representatives Committee. The emails show former IRS official Lois Lerner received an invitation to an event in 2012 that was meant to go to Republican Senator Charles Grassley of Iowa. Grassley apparently received Lerner's invitation by mistake. The event organizer apparently offered to pay for Grassley's wife to attend the event. Lerner, in an email to another IRS official, suggests referring the matter for an audit, saying, quote, "Looked like they were inappropriately offering to pay for his wife. Perhaps we should refer to the exam," Lerner wrote to colleague Matthew Gilligan. And moving on to a brief bit of news when it comes to television. Lead anchor of ABC's World News, Diane Sawyer, is saying she is stepping down from the anchor chair on September the 2nd. The chair will be taken over by weekend anchor of World News Saturday and World News Sunday by David Muir. Also, George Stephanopoulos of This Week with George Stephanopoulos and Good Morning America will be contributing to the fall elections as well this year. SHR Sports Time. It is 9:05. Tim Lincecum's days of dominance may be in the past. That doesn't mean he can't dial up flashes of the freak he once was, especially against the last-place team, San Diego Padres. Lincecum pitched his second no-hitter against the Padres in less than a year, allowing only one runner Wednesday and leading the San Francisco Giants to a 4-0 win. Lincecum totally shut down the weakest hitting team in the majors, striking out 6 and walking in a 113-pitch outing, 35 fewer than he needed last July 13th against the Padres in his first no-hitter. Lincecum retired the final 23 batters after walking Chase Headley in the second inning, relying much more on his off-speed stuff than his fastball. Though the Padres hit a few balls hard, San Francisco fielders didn't need to make any exceptional plays to preserve Lincecum's gem. The right-hander with the 2 NL Cy Young Awards became just the second pitcher in Major League history to twice win a no-hit on the same team. Hall of Famer Eddie Joss did it for the Cleveland Indians against the Chicago White Sox with a perfect game in the year 1908 and a no-hitter in 1910. For a full wrap on all the day's news, tune into the Evan Miller Report on the SHR Media Networks Monday through Friday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific here on the SHR Media Networks. Now back to the Sackheads Radio Show here on the SHR Media Networks.
Thank you very much, Jason. And we are back here.
I didn't even think to ask about the fact that the White House knew in April and the People's House doesn't know until June. You didn't think there was a duty to figure out, who gave you the information, who you may have shared that information with? I mean, it seems like everyone knows this stuff except the Congress, and we don't get it for months later.
So again, what I'd like to be able to do is be as helpful as I can with what I knew when I was
Well,
at the
it would have been helpful if you'd had those answers to those questions. Do you know if the White House counsel's office, once they got this information that, in fact, Lois Lerner's emails in a critical 2-year time frame were lost, do you know if the White House counsel's office told the FBI and told the Justice Department?
So what I can tell you is what I knew when I was at the IRS.
No, I'm talking about now. You work at the White House counsel's office. They knew this information in April. We didn't know it till June. There's a 2-month time difference there. In that time, did the White House counsel's office tell the FBI? I mean, remember what the president said. He said he's angry about this. People have to pay. This is outrageous. There's no place for this. This is all the things he said when this scandal broke. So I'm wondering if you get important information like Lois Lerner's emails are lost, did you share that with the agency doing the criminal investigations? You say, hey, this is serious. We better get this information to the FBI and to the Justice Department. Did you guys do that?
I'm happy to answer questions about my time at the IRS. I was there.
I'm asking, did your boss, did the folks you work for at the White House counsel's office, when they got this critical information, did they share it with the Justice Department?
Mr. Eggleston actually started the same day that I did, so our tenures are the same.
He's the one who wrote the letter to Dave Camp saying they learned of it in April from the Treasury's chief counsel. When he got that important information, did he get it to the folks who were running the criminal investigation? That's important. Or do you think there's no duty for the White House when they got critical information? There's no duty, no obligation to share that with the Justice Department who's running a criminal investigation? You don't think they have to do that?
So
they can just sit on the information?
Did you send anything for investigation, ma'am, or did you literally just sit on your hands? Did you do anything? How about this? Why don't you answer one of the questions I asked?
I'm trying to be helpful as I can. I'll be more than happy to answer questions about my time at the IRS.
But I don't want to talk about my time at the IRS.
but I'm trying to be helpful.
I love the fact at some point earlier in the testimony, Daryl Iso was trying to ask her a question. She kept sidestepping and interrupting him. And then he said, ma'am, you're acting like a hostile witness. And she said, oh, I'm not being hostile.
You think I'm being hostile now? Wait till I get home.
My biological clock is ticking like this. But seriously, it's mind-boggling. It is the same BS over and over and over.
What I find interesting is the White House initially blocked her from testifying, from appearing. And Congress said, okay, we'll just issue a subpoena then. And then the White House said, "Oh, look, she's available to testify."
Oh yeah,
now.
You want her?
Yeah, her.
Oh,
I thought you meant
O'Connor.
the other. I thought you meant O'Connell.
Right. I didn't see the apostrophe in her last name. You spelled it wrong. Our searches for the O'Connor without the apostrophe showed that we didn't have anyone employed. In the White House
thought you
by that
meant
name.
John Connor, and based upon some movies, we have some secret stuff working.
We didn't want him to be exposed. He may be around to save us later.
Right.
Listen. The fact that, and here's the brilliant part, and I appreciate this, they were smart enough to subpoena her knowing she worked at the IRS then and works at the White House after the fact, and they're asking her questions on both.
Right. And Cummings said, I want to know what his connection is to this whole thing. But Cummings says, why is she here? It's not because of her old job. It's because of her new job. Okay. Thanks,
well,
Mr. Cummings.
I appreciate you really helping us out with that. Elijah, do you have anything at all that you want to add to this that's important? I also would like to point out that you shouldn't be hard on her because she's wearing a blue shirt. And obviously you target anything that blue at will. And
obviously you hate women.
I mean, jeez Louise.
Right? Obviously, you hate women. You hate women so much, why don't you just get the sackheads on here to interview her? Because you know how they treat women.
Right. And we'll ask that broad some questions.
Right. Yeah, we will. Hey, Toots, listen, come over here. Sit on my lap for a second.
And why is Elijah Cummings still on this committee?
That was my question.
Please tell me that. He should be removed.
He should be
on
investigated,
those emails
yes.
out of Texas.
Yes.
So the fact that he can even interject, to me, is an insult to the system. He should excuse himself or be removed. He should be given the opportunity to excuse himself. But if he doesn't, then they should vote to remove him from that committee. He has a jaded opinion outside of his politics now because he was named in those emails. His office was named in those emails out of Texas to talking about True the Vote.
Yeah.
Right around the same time that all this was going on. So the fact that Elijah's even sitting up there is beyond reproach to me. It's just ridiculous.
Do you think they like each other? Do you think this is all show and they actually go for beers afterwards together?
I don't think Daryl.
Why don't we solve this? Why don't we solve this in one of the best ways I've seen to solve a problem? I think a house rule needs to be passed. Matchup.
Please go on into this because I really want to hear this.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
The Clint Eastwood movie. Now it clicks, right? Heartbreak Ridge.
Yes.
Both companies get to the pit at the same time. And Major Powers and Gunny Highway. Right?
Matchup.
Yeah, there's only one way to handle this, sir. Matchup. Stand back, Sergeant. I'm running your platoon today. And they get in the mud pit and just beat the crap out of each other. And Clint Eastwood drags the major out. Why can't we do that?
Because it'd be frowned upon. I think
who would be? Here's the question: who would you pit, Republican v. Democrat, in a pit for matchup to resolve an issue
on the IRS on this committee?
Yeah. Issa and Cummings.
Ooh, okay. I was actually going to go Gowdy, Cummings.
Gowdy, Cummings.
And here's why.
Okay.
I don't always agree with Daryl Issa, but I don't think Daryl Issa could take a punch to the face. I just don't, for whatever reason.
Okay.
I think Trey Gowdy would fight until there's not a breath left in his body.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And I've fully admitted I am a big Trey Gowdy supporter. I love Trey Gowdy. I think he's amazing.
Okay.
So it could be jaded.
Okay.
But I honestly I would think that Gowdy would be my person that I would pick for matchup. In
So how about this? How about Issa v. Lerner?
No.
Why not?
Because if Issa lost.
Right. Then maybe she wouldn't learn her lesson, but she gets away with it, right? Okay, there's only one way to solve this, guys. Matchup. I don't know what made me think of that. Go ahead. You were saying?
I've lost it at this point. No,
because it's a brilliant idea.
Yes. It's absolutely a brilliant idea. A brilliant bully,
Brilliant.
I say. Bully,
Brilliant idea.
bully. What about Jason Chaffetz? Who would you put him up against on that committee?
Who?
Chaffetz, Utah.
Oh, Utah?
Yeah, Jason Chaffetz.
Who would I put him up against?
Yeah. On that committee.
I'm thinking. Cummings. Just because I'd put Cummings up against everybody on that committee.
You just keep, is Ken in the room? Because I think there's something that may need to be talked about here. You keep putting everyone up against Elijah Cummings. I'm just saying.
I'd put Ken up against Elijah Cummings.
My money would be on Ken.
Yeah,
My money would be on Ken 1,000 times over.
Yeah, definitely. Joe Biden and Sarah Palin.
Joe Biden and Sarah Palin. My money's on Sarah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because Joe would just keep trying to hit on her every single time that she threw a punch.
I'm into that kind of thing, Toots.
Hey, babe, what brings you here? Oh, so you want to go out for a drink? Oh, so listen, I was just thinking you and I. Oh, stop. Listen, this would go a lot better if you stop hitting me.
Yeah, stop punching me in the face, Toots. How about you just flip me over and spank me a little? I like that better.
Didn't you see the whole thing in Korea? But at some point, this stonewall that's going on by the Democrats, arguably by the administration has made moves. If it comes back to the White House, this will be well beyond a scandal. This will be impeachable.
I think there's enough to impeach. I think there's
now,
enough to impeach the president.
I mean, on
now.
this
I really
specific incident.
Okay.
Not the totality. I think Benghazi, there's some stuff to impeach there. But if we're talking this specific incident on the IRS targeting of Tea Party and then the cover-up thereof, if this makes it to the White House, then I think even Democrats, their hands would be forced, even if it's for political salvation or because they want to do the right thing. I think that they would be forced to vote for impeachment.
They're not forced to vote for anything, right? I think. Look, the time to bring impeachment charges, I think, and I'm sure there are some folks who would disagree with me on this, but I think it would have been. They still can do it, and I honestly believe it's the right thing to do. If this were any other president, I think there would be impeachment proceedings already started. Absolutely, already started. I mean, look, they tried to bring impeachment proceedings against Bush. But that aside, if they would have brought impeachment proceedings before midterms, so that the votes are coming up before midterms, with everything out there, and you publicize everything even more, right? Because even the left-wing media would have to cover the impeachment proceedings.
Oh, without
it's
a
impeachment
doubt.
proceedings.
Without
it's happened
a
only a
doubt.
few times, right?
Right.
So they have to cover it, which is going to bring attention to the scandals, to the things that this administration has done, legitimately done wrong, I think.
Yes, I would.
And you bring attention to that, and now you have people on record with their votes. I believe they would have got articles of impeachment through the House. Now the Senate has to vote on that. The impeachment is tried in the Senate, and now they're on record as well. And all of these scandals and all of the evidence comes up right at the time through these elections. I think that was the time to do it from a political standpoint. Again, I honestly think it's the right thing to do for the country, but I think the timing would have been better sooner rather than later. And they absolutely have it. I mean, you have Obama just on his failure to execute the laws of the United States, and we'll talk about Boehner's lawsuit here later. But with this IRS thing, And the way this administration has handled this, I mean, you have this in Benghazi. I mean, Trey Gowdy, there was a great point made during the audio that we played at the top of the hour, and that is, or at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour, and that is this. The administration, the White House, came up with the initial talking points for the IRS of, this was 2 rogue agents in Cincinnati. Jay Carney broke that.
Yes.
That didn't come from anywhere else. That came from the White House.
Right. So
and then the president said,
it sounds a lot like blaming a video, but go on.
Yeah, the president said that this is a scandal. They need to reach the bottom and so forth, or get to the bottom of this. So this isn't, again, and nobody else was pushing this excuse or this narrative, but it came from the White House. So they're involved. The White House is involved. If not from the targeting, then definitely post when you're talking about having an investigation and complicit in spreading that false information. Same with Benghazi. This White House is directly involved with spreading false information to the American people on some major issues.
Huge.
And you have that coupled with the fact that the president refuses to execute the laws of the United States as required by the Constitution. And I think you have some impeachable offenses there. I really do. You also have the IRS that has failed. Look, there was testimony that came out, and they said, the IRS violated the law when they failed to report the hard drive went down. They failed to report this data was lost and so forth. There was a violation of law there. Okay, so you know you have a violation of law now. So now who do we hold accountable for that? And I'm not seeing anything being held accountable. I'm seeing hearings, and even after the hearings, there's not really a lot coming out of it. And this is just one small problem with this president and with this administration in particular. Like I said, I don't know that there's anything specifically tying the administration to this other than the cover-up, other than that it's 2 rogue agents. But that is something. That is not nothing. Is there an email that has the president telling Lois Lerner to target conservatives? No. That doesn't exist that I know of. That's not in any evidence that I've seen presented. And so I'm not prepared to go down that road. However, the White House is involved in the false narrative that came out about who was responsible for this.
Very much so.
And in that sense, they are involved. And if they're involved at that level, and if they're involved in those talking points, then what else are they involved in?
Well, and as we said, it's all a matter about which way or how far you want to go. The problem is I think the longer this takes, the more steam it loses and the more public interest it loses. And part of it, I think, is very much by democratic design. Reason being is if this goes on long enough and the media takes it out of the public eye, right?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it dwindles and it dwindles and it dwindles and it dwindles. And then 6 months from now, impeachment is announced. It will create the outcry because it hasn't been in the news that, now they're just impeaching him on anything. You know what I mean? Because you have all these scandals going in mainstream media. Benghazi, they got hot on it for a little while but backed away. IRS, they were hot on it for a little while. They're hot on it right now, but they will back away.
But it's interesting. We're also seeing some of the far left media starting to turn.
Well,
a
save
little bit.
face. We were listening to a clip earlier tonight
from MSNBC,
from June 11th, I think, and it was Chris Matthews talking about, and he was on the the Ronan Farrow show or whatever it is there. I
don't know. I don't watch communist shows.
Any show that will play the Volga Boatman. I mean, really. So, but he was saying, hey, he was talking about Bratz beating what's his face there, Virginia, and saying, hey, you know what? He's a very articulate guy. He's a very smart guy. This is Chris Matthews, folks. We shouldn't be looking down our nose at these Tea Party candidates. And this guy speaks about, he says something about liberty. He said about this and that. This was Chris Matthews, of all people.
Clearly, that is Chris Matthews' doppelganger. Listen, that is a conspiracy on the far right to try and infiltrate the liberals to get them to listen.
How right
to,
you are.
Yeah.
So, but it shows you that I think and I said to you, MSNB sleaze, I think is just trying to save face. I think somebody said, hey, we're completely losing even our base because we're so far left that true Democrats aren't even turning us on.
Like, we're not even far left. We're just batshit crazy.
Right. And that's what it's come down to.
Like, we're just loony.
Oh,
like,
no,
we're just out of our minds. Right. Jinx.
But Jinx Coke, or whatever it is. Jinx Needle, is that what it was?
I don't know.
But you have even MSNBC that's starting to come back a little bit on some of their shows or with some of their bigger name personalities. Listen, 4 years ago, Chris Matthews was one of the biggest name in politics. Now,
I was going to say douchebag.
Well, no, but he was
a douchebag.
Yes, he was 4 years ago. But going into 2008, let's say before he
got a thrill,
completely romanticized by this president.
Right.
He was one of the biggest names in politics as a pundit. A lot of people left and right tuned into him. And then that's right around the time.
Because he was reasonable.
He used to be more reasonable.
More reasonable.
Which you start looking at the left in general at the end of 2007 going into 2008 during the elections. That's really where the progressives started to take it and run as much as they could and push things as far left as they possibly could. So now they've gone to that left extreme. They've gone so far left that they can't go any further and still be
without being a circle.
I was going to say constitutional republic, but yours is fine too.
Oh, okay. They could be a circle.
But I think they're recognizing, even the likes of maybe Chris Matthews, but I think the hard left in general are those who maybe swayed a little bit further left, but they weren't the true 100% socialist progressives. I think they recognize
or communist progressives.
Or communist progressives. I think they recognize that far left all by itself is dangerous, and these quote unquote false.
See, I think that maybe they're dangerous to ratings.
Are the result.
They're dangerous to ratings. I don't think they're dangerous. I want to hear their ideas.
Right.
I want them out there just being complete lunatics.
Right.
Because when they're out there in the open and people can hear what they're saying and that they're lunatics, they're not dangerous. People will say, you guys are out of your mind, right? But if they're in the shadows and they're kind of subversive and they're doing this stuff like the progressive movement has for a long time, kind of behind the scenes in the shadows, that's what's dangerous. I like Chris Matthews out there showing his true self and just being a completely batshit crazy madman. Because people look at him and say, you're out of your mind, I'm going to stop listening to you, and you're just way too out in the public. I like that. I like it from that standpoint, but I also like it in the free exchange of ideas. Look, I am huge into the free exchange of ideas. Yes. I may completely disagree with you, and that's fine, but I'm for that free exchange of ideas, right?
People have the right to their ideas.
Absolutely, and I want to hear them, and I want to hear why you think the way you do. But
I also want to debate it. If I disagree, I want to have that intelligent debate.
Correct.
I want to let you speak your mind, but I want to know I want you to engage me intelligently. The thing that the left has done poorly, I think, since this president was elected, is not have that debate. It's always my way or the highway. You look at the way he's acted with unilateral action.
He's acted like a tyrant.
He's acted very much like a tyrant. And there's no exchange of ideas anymore with the left.
There's not. He's acted like a king. He's King Obama.
Right.
Look, there are some governments that have acted in this manner, that act unilaterally. I truly believe he would. He thinks Congress is irrelevant or should be irrelevant.
Right.
I really do. I think that he believes that's the best way to govern.
Mm-hmm.
It's unconstitutional. It's not the way our system of government is set up. But I truly believe that's what he thinks is best, and I disagree with him. I wish this president would come out and have an honest discussion about his views on the Constitution, and an honest discussion, and actually discuss and debate it, not just say something in a speech and continue on, and then it's never discussed or debated again.
I don't think it'll ever happen.
I would love I am officially inviting the president. It'll never happen, but I am officially inviting President Obama onto the show to have a discussion about constitutional principles in the Constitution and have a discussion from a strict constructionalist view on this end versus a progressive, ever-changing, living, breathing document point of view on his end, and the social construction and so forth that he's for, and have an honest discussion or debate.
I am going to tweet President Obama right now.
Tell him I said hi. We're up against the break. Sacco's throwing things at me.
I got the perfect music while you do this.
Uh-oh. Go for it, Sacco. Go ahead, Sacco. Anytime now.
I'm waiting for you to finish that tweet. Just giving you some motivation.
He's playing the Volga Boatman song.
Why don't we take our break,
Does this
Sacco?
not sound like a communist song?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
How you doing? John Grant here. When I'm not slaving over a hot microphone on the 405radio.com Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern, I check out Sean and Clint here at Sackheads Radio. We all appreciate the best political bloggers, writers, and commentators. We either get them on our shows or we make fun of them, as it should be. So check us out live Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern or forever on the podcasts on the 405radio.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Hello, I'm Paul, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is my professor, Dr. Larry Arnn, on the separation of church and state.
America's founders believed in the separation of church and state, in that the country was not to have an official religion or an official sect. But that did not mean that government was to be hostile to religion, or even indifferent to religion, as many today argue. In fact, America's founding document, the Declaration of Independence, includes both a reference to God as the author of the laws of nature and a confident assertion that human beings are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights. Far from being hostile or indifferent to religion, America's founders understood the theology of the Declaration to be an essential part of the education of citizens.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.org.
Hi, this is Rooster from Outcry Radio. Catch me here on Blog Talk Radio every Saturday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, or follow my blog. Now, back to the Sackheads.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Radio.
Oh, we're back.
Actually, it's just you and I.
What do you mean it's just you and I? What did you do with Sean?
I don't think you want to know.
You and I must make a pact.
I'm not sure how he got
What the hell was that?
Welcome back here to the Sack.
I've heard cats had sex with better harmony than that.
So,
what the?
So during the last break,
seriously,
I offered to get everyone a drink out of the fridge. Right? We're in a break. I wanted to grab a drink.
You did.
So this tells you.
Well, tell them what we got today.
Right. So for our feast, part of our.
I wasn't
dinner
here for the
tonight-
feast.
Oh, stop it. We ate during the first break.
Okay.
So I go to grab a couple root beers. Legitimately, we have
vanilla creams.
Right, vanilla cream.
Some
Henry
excellent
Weinhardt's,
vanilla cream.
Excellent, and we're not paid endorsement, but we enjoy it, so we'll
yeah,
talk about it.
Yeah.
So I said, hey, do you want a vanilla cream soda? And you said, yeah. So I grabbed 2 bottles because it was kind of dark in our kitchen, and I walked out. So Clint turns around, opens it up, and goes, hey, this is a regular beer. And
right.
Me being the good person I am, said, oh, I'm sorry. I'll be glad to take that for you.
Right. And
to which I got yelled at, and my hand was slapped, which was really over the top because I wasn't even reaching.
Okay, well, here's the problem. When your hand got slapped, when you said, I'll take that from you, you threw your hand over my neck and attempted to grab the bottle out of my hand while you simultaneously groped my buttocks.
Well, you take a bear away from an Irish guy, anything can happen.
I slapped your hand away, and I judo chopped.
Judo chop!
Right. And I pulled the beer aside.
You were like G.I. Joe at the Kung Fu Group.
I was like Hong Kong Phooey.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. Good call on that.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So either way, you hit the jackpot tonight, and you got a free beer out of it all.
Yeah, it was awesome, but I was a little shocked at first because when I popped it, I took a drink expecting the vanilla cream, and I was like, "Whoa, this is real beer." And you go, "I'll take that," and I said, "Okay, here," and I put it down, and I thought about it. I was like, "No, wait a second. You like Jedi mind tricked me. You're like, this is not the drink you were looking for."
A news director said that my singing sounded worse. His direct quote is, "Bloody hell, you sound worse than Cummings." So now I'm insulted. You know, before it was just easy, happy-go-lucky fun.
Right.
But that cuts deep.
Now you're upset.
Now I cut deep.
Right, now you're upset.
Next, you're going to be having me fight Trey Gowdy, which is just scary. So
you could take Trey Gowdy. I've seen you fight.
Yeah, for a beer.
That's what I mean.
You'll just hold a beer behind him and I'll bowl over anyone. You ever seen Stripes? I'm like John Candy's character.
I still think the best part is when that guy was giving Sacco a hard time, and Sacco came out. He was crying. Remember?
Yeah, I do.
And you said I don't even want to go in there. I mean, he's my friend, but hey, let's avoid the fight. And I said, Sean, he's got your beer. And you remember what happened after that?
Well, first of all, you know how much money it cost me to put those doors back on the hinges of that bar?
I'm surprised you actually stayed around for that.
Well, I'm not one to destroy other people's property.
No.
And I felt bad, so I wrote the check, being the good man that I am.
You did after you got Sacco a blankie.
After I got Sacco a blankie.
Right.
And washed his thumbs before I allowed him to put it back in his mouth because he was sucking on him.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to that guy, but have you ever seen Bugs Bunny when he runs through a wall and there's just the outline?
I've seen the coyote.
The coyote, that's okay.
Yeah.
The coyote.
Okay.
There's just the outline. It was something like that. All I can remember is you trying to get me back outside with the red cape yelling Toro.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, you pulled that red jacket right off the guy.
I did.
And you got me into the middle of the street, and then I finally calmed down again. So you don't mess around with Irish guys and beer. It's just not something you get in the way of, ever.
No, I thought it was. I thought it was absolutely hilarious.
Speaking of beer, I'm going to be talking about beer tomorrow afternoon on the Man Show here on Mannerisms, here at 12 p.m. on the Pacific Time and SHR Media Network, and talk about a couple beers that I tried.
I want to say something to you.
Yeah,
I'm a little offended.
Why?
I have not been invited onto the Mannerisms show.
I know.
To talk about shooting.
I know.
And it cuts me deep.
And you are an avid enthusiast.
And
unbelievable at your
my craft.
At your craft.
Thank you.
And I think that's one of the reasons why. It's intimidating.
But there's a lot of information out there, and I'm waiting to give you to call and to book the owner, the founder, the designer, the brilliant, the legend, the man behind POF Rifles.
Yeah,
POFUSA.com. Yeah, POF-USA.com.
Sackheads Radio sent you.
Official rifle of Sackheads Radio.
See?
For a second, I thought you were talking about me, and then you said POF.
No, if we're talking about you, would say POS. Piece of Sacco. What? It's not. It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad at all.
See, now, Jason's saying I'll have you on when pigs fly. See what you do? You turn everyone against me. You do this all the time.
I think that was negative to me.
No.
Not to you. That was negative to me.
He's saying I'm afraid to have you on, and I'll only have you on when pigs fly. So he's calling me up. You see how that works?
Cops have airplanes and helicopters. You can't do that. We love our law enforcement, military, and service personnel, including our firefighters.
Yes. Absolutely. They take care of those of us who need it.
But they do fly.
But they do fly. Absolutely. So, no, you know
So
what?
I guess, Jason, he's going to have me on the show.
Fine. You folks want it. Will you book a date? Will you contact my booking agent, and I'll give you like 15, 20 minutes at some point during the Mannerism show?
Yes.
Okay, good.
But
So
my time is expensive.
Don't I know it? It costs me every single week. So check me out every Thursday afternoon at 12 p.m. Pacific here on
I
the
check
SHR
you out every night,
Media
Wednesdays,
Network.
while we're sitting here. Just
as
saying.
well as all the other great talent we have on here. The Evan Miller Report, the exceptional one himself, the Exceptional Conservative Show, who beat us to the punch, and he's actually has an in-studio cam now for his show.
Who does?
Ken.
That's because nobody believes he's black.
He is.
I know he is. That's why he had to get the
know
camera.
either. I honestly thought his picture, he just got offline.
No, that's why he.
But apparently-
You almost said booking photo. You
say
did,
booking
and you,
photo.
Ken. I apologize for my racist partner. I'm going to apologize for that. He is censored right now, so I'm sorry for that. But that's why he got the camera. It's proof. It's like proof of life, right? You need like today's newspaper with the live victim. Ken had to put the studio camera in. Either that or it's a claymation guy that he just gets the mouth to move perfectly when he's saying.
Saturday night, the rooster crows at night, and we're working on a few other ones for you right now, folks. So check out us all, and make sure you check out Dr. A's. Ken wrote an essay this week. There's a whole bunch of great ones on shrmedia.com.
Did you say wrote an essay?
He wrote an essay.
Or wrote an essay?
Not wrote an essay.
I didn't know.
I know you're in California, and that's normal talk,
It
but not
is.
for the rest of the country. And so Dr. Arrington's always writing some great material. I think Rosie's going to be posting this week, Rosie Dale, whose first article about minimum wage was awesome. She did a great job. We're glad she's here.
We need a segment on the show.
Okay.
The doctor is in.
The doctor is in with
a
Dr.
segment
Arrington.
with Dr. Arrington.
Absolutely. We'll work on that. I want to have Dr. Arrington on. Dr. A, if you're listening.
The doctor is in, if you would like it.
The doctor is in. We could even...
Don't Google that with your safe search off.
No, whatever you do.
Please
We
don't.
can
I'm
put
going to try it right now.
No, don't. The
No, I'm
computer
going to
will
try
blow.
it. So these are
We
all
can like
computers.
make all of our listeners sit in a waiting room for like 10 minutes and just play like hospital
Volga
music.
Boatman.
And just play hospital music until
Okay.
the doctor's ready. That way it's like a real doctor.
And we could have
experience.
virtual magazines with like the address bar virtually torn off it.
So look for that coming up soon. Dr. Arrington's an excellent human being, an amazing American, brilliant beyond all accounts. We love having him. Rooster's starting to write again, so there's a lot of good stuff. I'm trying to get Twist Clint's arm and get him to write something. But we'll see.
I
what
write
happens.
a lot.
Well, if you'd write, then maybe I'd have you on the show. Will you write a thing for the Mannerism show? Talk about POF USA?
What would you like me to write about it?
I know you own one. Can you do a review for it?
I can.
Will
Sure.
you do a guest blog on the Mannerism show page? For a review for POF USA?
Would you like me to do that before writing something for SHR?
No, it's on SHR. So it would be on SHR. But you won't let me touch your POF rifle. The last time I believe you cried and ran away when I said, hey, can I just put a few rounds through it?
No. I didn't cry and run away.
No, you did.
No. What I did is those were tears of rage. And I actually squared off, if you remember. That was like you grabbing a beer tonight. Right? That's what that was.
Again, folks, check out
Hey,
all
we
of-
did this segment wrong, just so you know.
Why?
Because we're supposed to start with business and close with the jackassery. We actually came back from break, went straight into jackassery, and now we have one more thing that needs to be discussed.
POF is business. SHR Media is business. We had it at 9:30 is our promotion time. That's when we're doing the promotion for all of our friends here at SHR Media. It just happened to get a little jackacious.
Jackacious, I like it. Free Sacco shirts are going to be coming.
Free Sacco shirts. So we're coming up with ideas for the free Sacco shirts. And I want
Not free tacos.
Not free taco shirts. Even though that wouldn't be bad.
That would be funny, actually. Free tacos.
We could sell two, Save Sacco and free tacos. And just
Or
see
free
which ones-
free Sacco. All the hippies would love those.
Buy a shirt to vote for what you want. Free tacos or to save Sacco.
But what if you had
What
if you had silence? Hey, you sit over there with your choke collar on. What if?
What do you got, Sacco?
If I have to go into a restaurant with a mask on from here on out, I'm going to hate you guys.
I'll tell you what, Sacco. We're going to put your face on a shirt.
We're going to make you famous.
We're going to make you famous.
I don't know that guy. It doesn't
So
look
here's
like me.
my idea.
No, we need free Sacco on the front with his face.
I wanted to do his face photoshopped onto like an Abu Ghraib prisoner.
No, you know why? Because he'll get shot.
No, nobody will shoot Sacco. Nothing will go through the hair. He wears a natural ballistic protection.
That's true. As the bullet spins, it gets caught up in all the hair.
That's why nobody's
And
ever
it'll stop
invaded
it.
Armenia.
You realize that it's in the Middle East. It's like, nobody ever touches that.
What, hair?
The only way you could take Sacco down is with a flamethrower. And then it would just, it would be like you put your arm over the, over an open flame. You just get that smell.
I tried that once.
Oh, man. So, real quick, because we only have 15 minutes left of the show. So the Boehner, or the Boehner. The Boehner.
Boehner. Can I say Boehner?
Yeah, why?
I don't know. I'm getting some bad vibes tonight. People are angry with me tonight.
Well, it's almost like how you say car,
Right.
and I say ka.
Okay.
It's just a different pronunciation. It's just a different pronunciation. So Boehner, Speaker of the House Boehner, has filed.
You liked that response, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay. I was
has
checking.
filed a lawsuit.
Well, he's going to.
He's going to.
He's going to file a lawsuit.
Finally, somebody slipped Viagra into his coffee.
I didn't realize what a freak Jason is. Just so you know, he's one of those,
Would you leave
like
our
real
news directors alone?
No, I love him. He's like one of those, right? Like the guy in like nice suit you'd never guess, but like a closet. Whoa, right?
No.
Like just a closet, like something. Like there's some darkness there.
You just look for it,
right? Like there's some freak nasty stuff going on in that mind, right?
No, but
there.
it was almost like when Sacco came in with the Band-Aid, and you were like, "Dude, what happened? You didn't pay the hooker again?" And he was like, "No, I slit my finger when I was cutting bread." You just automatically go for the worst in people. I mean, really? So somebody slipped.
But what did he say? He didn't pay her.
Well,
you can't judge me if I'm right.
Well, she worked at Subway. She wasn't a hooker. He
Same
wanted a
thing.
sandwich.
He got the tuna.
One beer is all it takes with you is one beer, huh?
You start switching the labels on the bottles.
I know, exactly. We're going to slip him root beer.
This is the root beer.
So Boehner's going to file this lawsuit against the president, and I don't know if this will go anywhere. I hope it goes somewhere. But essentially, for failing to failing to act and failing to follow the law on a lot of different things. So, do you really think that this has ground? Is this just show or what? I mean, what's your opinion on this?
So I thought about this. I've been thinking about this today a lot, actually. And while on its face, it seems like, yeah, it may be legitimate. Maybe it's just a political, maybe just like a political thing. Here's the thing. If he's really worried about the executive abusing power and the executive faithfully executing the laws of this country, why not go for impeachment?
Why? Yeah.
Why not bring articles of impeachment?
Well,
why bring? And he said this is not about impeachment. It's about faithfully executing the laws. And the problem I have with this is this: now you have the legislative branch engaging in behavior that I don't like every time there's a disagreement, every time we don't believe things go our way, we take it to the courts. We run to the courts.
Right.
That is not the role of the judiciary. And the judiciary has turned into this arbiter of all things. And I would argue has turned into the strongest branch of government.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like the fact that the legislative branch is going to another branch of government to try and solve this issue. Like, well, I'm going to go tell Big Brother on you because you're not sharing,
right.
And he's not sharing, and then they file a lawsuit, and then you have two branches of government fighting, and finally the courts decide on something. Look, if he's not faithfully executing the laws, and by doing so he is violating his constitutional responsibilities, then bring impeachment against him. That is what is prescribed by the Constitution. That is the authority Congress has. That is the House's responsibility to bring articles of impeachment. That's the route I think he should go. I don't like the fact that they're filing a lawsuit. What is this lawsuit going to accomplish? What if the court says, okay, you shall no longer, you have to faithfully execute the laws?
No.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's my Justice Department. We don't have funds to execute all laws, and so I'm going to do this. Do police officers have to write everybody they pull over a ticket? No, they don't. Why do I have to enforce? I mean...
Well, and you bring up a great point. What's the end game on this? What is their point? Is their point just to draw attention to the fact that he's not, because you don't really have to look that far to realize you don't have to really look that far to realize that he's not executing. He's refusing to enforce certain laws. He's refusing to be honest about certain things. So I don't think this lawsuit is constructive as far as bringing attention to the American people. People have already know and made their decision on this.
I don't, and you know what? If you're that worried about it, then make a law, introduce a bill in Congress. Right.
That's the power of the legislature that you work for, and
right.
you should have thought of that already.
Or use the power of the purse.
Right.
Hey, you know what? You're not faithfully executing the laws. Therefore, we are going to exercise our power of the purse, and we are going to stop funding here, or we're going to slash the executive budget here, or we're going to do... There are things... Congress has a lot of power.
That they refuse to use.
They refuse to wield it. And there is a reason why the powers are separate. And I know listeners of our show, I would think for the most part, would agree to this. And so rather than the legislative branch using the tools at their disposal, they instead run to the executive, the judicial branch.
Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. And by virtue, what that does is give the judicial way too much power, because you're now instilling this power on which part of government is right and which part of government is wrong. You know what I mean? Because now you're saying, oh, we can't solve our problems, and the only way to fix these issues are with the judicial. And it gives more power to the judicial than the power should have. Instead of acting in the capacity that you're elected to do, Speaker Boehner, in passing laws.
Did you just say Speaker Boehner?
Speaker Boehner.
That would be a great novelty item to sell in the shop.
Like all the ones you can bring in the shower now and everything?
Right. It's a boner speaker.
You want a Speaker Boehner? It almost sounds like something in like a Eastern European bake shop. You know? Ooh, I'll have the spanakopita and the Speaker Boehner.
Right, and the Sacco.
And the Sacco. If I can get those to go, please, that'd be great. No, you're setting a terrible precedence. You are setting a horrible, horrible precedence for the rest of the country to solve your problems by automatically running to the courts.
Both sides do this, and I don't.
And I disagree.
I disagree with it as well. Like I said, the courts are overused. Look, if you look, tough guy, you're the Speaker of the freaking House.
Right.
You are third in line.
Yeah. You're 2 heartbeats away.
You're 2 heartbeats away. Okay. You're
kind of a big deal.
Yeah. You're number 3, dude. So if you have an issue with it, address it in your branch. Bring articles of impeachment. If there's enough to go to court, if there's enough to bring a lawsuit, I would think that you have enough. If you have grounds to sue because he's violating
if you're thinking
something,
it's going to be upheld in a court of law, that you're going to be right,
and
then
and why are you doing this? Well, because he's violating his oath of office. He is not faithfully executing the laws. He's abusing the executive power. Those are offenses.
Yeah, you
I
can even
believe.
argue that he's breaking the law
Right?
outright. Like different laws outside of his oath of office, etc. You know, it could very well be argued that he is overtly breaking law. I feel the immigration thing's a big deal. I feel that a lot in Benghazi is a big deal.
It is.
That
And
he took overt actions, much like Nixon did with the Watergate thing, took an overt action to break the law. And to me, if you think that this lawsuit has that evidence there to be upheld, then impeachment does as well.
Unless he's thinking that he won't get a conviction in the Senate because it'll break along straight
But then
party
it
lines.
puts it on the Senate.
Wait a second. Are they waiting for impeachment to see if they take the Senate?
Oh, it could very well be that they want to see what's going to happen in November to see if they'll be successful. I think they're afraid to impeach. I think they're afraid that
I believe you're right. I think
I
you're
think
right.
it's afraid that it'll cause civil unrest.
I think
cause
they're
a bigger divide.
Yep, I think they're afraid to impeach because of the race.
Yeah,
I really do.
And that they'll be looked at as racist, and because they do a horrible job of defending, and the Republicans in general do a terrible job of defending their stance and defending against the racism claims that get pushed out. They just don't even.
But how do you defend that, right? If somebody says, "Well, you're a racist," you can say, "Well, no, I'm not."
No, you give a million reasons why you're not.
So you don't. But I don't, why should you have to?
But you put it back on those who are making the claims.
But why should you have to? Well, I have.
You're
I
right,
have
you shouldn't have
black
to.
friends. Oh, so what? I mean, no matter what you say, it's a oh, so what?
I understand that,
right?
But they need to face it dead on. And they needed to say things like we say on this show. No, we're not racist. You're using the race card to further benefit yourself and keep other people down.
Right. You're using the race card because you have no other logical argument.
Right.
Here is the evidence.
And come straight out and say that. Let's rebut the evidence. Let's throw every argument aside, rebut the evidence. But they won't do that. So I do think that they're afraid to impeach. I do think that they're afraid to push that.
I think they are, but I'm curious to see if they impeach if the Republicans take the Senate, which is sad because it shouldn't be a straight party line vote.
No,
it really shouldn't be.
I agree with you.
Again, look, if the evidence is not there, then the evidence isn't there. Then you vote to acquit, right?
Yep.
Or you vote not guilty, whatever it is for the impeachment. But if the evidence is there, why are you going to break that along party lines? And again, right or left, it doesn't matter. Do you think if it came out that the White House was heavily involved in Benghazi, IRS, whatever it is, if there was proof directly tied to the president, do you think he would resign or do you think he would withstand impeachment?
I think he would withstand impeachment.
You think he'd stand up and he'd say, okay, fine, impeach me, come get me?
Yeah, I don't think he's either one of two things. I think he could be overly naive, which I don't think is necessarily the case.
I don't think he's that.
Or he's so egotistical
yes,
that he thinks that nobody would ever go that far. And I don't think that he could be standing in the middle of his testimony during the impeachment if he testified, and still in the back of his head saying, nope, they'll never do it.
And this is why this is kind of the dichotomy of Obama, right? On one hand, you have this thank you. You have this meek, weak president in terms of foreign affairs and foreign policy. But then you have this on domestic issues and here at home and fighting against other elected officials. He's this monster, right? He's Putin.
Yes.
He's stands up. He'll poke the bear. He'll right. So it's kind of interesting to me.
It is interesting. He's less afraid of he's not afraid of us, but he's not afraid of what the voters in this country would do to him because I think he thinks he has it so locked, but he is afraid of what will happen on international affairs.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, folks. It's that time.
It is that time.
It's been a blissful 2 hours as always. It's a wonderful, wonderful time here on the SHR Media Network. Thank you to all of our friends who joined us tonight. You can see us next Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the Sackheads Radio Show. Check us out on shrmedia.com. We will see you soon.
When did Sako's mom get here and start singing?
She's awesome.
Conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio. The best late night conservative talk show in America. In America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.